tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you are behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Fired up and ready to go now, Shane? Fired up and ready to go?
Yeah. It wasn't before. We got some people in the chat. I'm ready to go.
Heck yeah. What's going on, everyone? Welcome into West Virginia football at the voice of college football right here. We're live with you tonight, and we have a special guest in the back room. We're going to bring him in here in just a second. Everybody remembers Catholics versus Convicts, right? I mean, and everybody remembers the rivalry between West Virginia and Miami. Everybody remembers that West Virginia and Notre Dame played in the national championship in '88, and then played a couple of times after that. Became a pretty good rivalry, even though West Virginia got the short end of the stick every time. But they were good close games, and that was what was enjoyable. But so guy that used to come on our network a lot and stuff, did things over on the Notre Dame channel. The two Irish brothers, Sean is with us tonight. Ben can't be with us, but I'm gonna bring Sean in. Hey, Sean, what's going on, brother?
What's up, guys? Great to be here.
It's great to have you, man. I appreciate you coming on. We want to talk a little bit about some rivalries because, we used to do a Big 12 show on Thursday night, and I don't know if you know this or not, but in the Big 12, it seems like only West Virginia has fans because, like, you could have a Big 12 show and it'd be full of West Virginia fans, but then you look and you might have an occasional Iowa State fan, but very seldom, yeah. and it was just crazy. So we decided we're going to change some things up. We want to talk some rivalries, getting close to college football season. I'm excited about that. But yeah, man. So Catholics versus Convicts was a special thing. I remember watching the 30 for 30 about that. How true was the 30 for 30? How accurate was that? I mean, you remember all of it, I know. So.
Well, I actually commented on it on our channel when it first came out, and I mean, I was only 3 years old when the actual rivalry was going on, so I really don't remember anything about it. But just from the documentary itself, this is the part that I find funny, and I'm not trying to like badmouth Miami or anything, but I gotta say some of those Miami players are so two-faced, man. Because let me tell you why. In the 30 for 30 documentary on Catholics versus Convicts, they're all sitting there and they're like borderline crying about, especially Leon Searcy. He was like, I couldn't believe I saw that, man. I was offered scholarships by Harvard and Yale and all these different schools, and they're calling me a criminal. Same with Steve Walsh and same with the other guys who were on there. But at the same time, when you go back and watch the 30 for 30 on the U, these guys are all sitting there talking and they're acting like tough guys and arrogant, full of themselves. And I'm just like, man, when the Catholics versus Convicts documentary came along, I'm like, the Oscar goes to these guys.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Well,
Wonderful.
they sit there in an interview talking about how they were mad about the convicts part and everything because they weren't convicts. And then the next breath, they talked about how they went out and stole car stereos. Do y'all remember that?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I get it.
It's like don't. It's
Yeah,
like
they were bad. They were badass boys back then. I think Miami's changed a lot since then. You know that was back then. They recruited. They didn't care if you could play football. You know they took you. It didn't matter what your background was, what your past was, what your future is, and what your history is. You played football. You could play football for Miami. So,
oh yeah. No, they had a very strong program. There's no denying that.
mhm.
It's down now, but you know they can rise back up.
Well,
Just so we can knock them back down again.
you got to look at all the
Ag
four-star players that come out of Georgia and Florida and Texas. Okay, California and Penn State are okay too, and the state of Pennsylvania are okay. But Pennsylvania is not what it used to be in the 80s and 70s, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, you got Oregon and West Virginia. I don't know how they do what they do with the talent they have, but, you know, the state of Oregon, the state of West Virginia are very similar as far as population goes. In fact, Oregon has a little bit more. But, you know, Notre Dame is like Oregon and West Virginia, but they have the clout, you know, that they can recruit to Indiana and pull some talent, and they pull them from everywhere. But with the NIL, it's kind of like you're seeing kids go to Ohio State from LA. You're seeing kids go to Miami from, you know, Washington. You know, like this just it's madness.
It is.
So what are your thoughts? My question is this. I know it's getting a roundabout, but, you know, Notre Dame, have they changed the way they're conducting business, or is it still, you know, we are who we are, like it or lump it? But are they trying to be competitive with the NIL money? How are they recruiting? How have they changed their recruiting other than, you know, using the big N and the D and saying, you know, we're the shit, you're not?
Well, I will say this. We've seen a big adjustment. I was actually talking about this last night on Christian Ballard's show. The big difference, at least in the last few years anyway, has been the change in coaches. You know, Brian Kelly leaves and Marcus Freeman comes in. So that's a big factor right there because of how they coach. Because Marcus Freeman, he's more of the players coach. Brian Kelly was the disciplinarian. But as far as coaching goes, I just want to make this quick comment on that. Marcus Freeman is the perfect balance of disciplinarian and players coach. But to answer your question more straightforward, the big difference is Marcus Freeman, he is going above and beyond on the recruiting trail a lot better than what Brian Kelly did. And a couple key factors is this. Brian Kelly, and this just always amazed me with him. And I didn't realize this for the longest time, but Brian Kelly would not take advantage of, one, the private Catholic schools, which you think would be bread and butter come to Notre Dame's recruiting. And number two, he wouldn't hit up the inner city schools where there, as we know, there is a lot of talent. Marcus Freeman is hitting that pipeline. So the recruiting has been up as far as I'm concerned in that department. I think with the NIL, I think they're starting to embrace it, but in my opinion, they're not embracing it as big as I think they should, if that makes any sense. I mean, I know some guys are getting deals, but I think at the same time, even with a new athletic director and a new university president, you know, they still want to try to keep it an academics first kind of thing, which I can respect that. But you got to remember too, it is a business, and it's even money can be the root of all evil sometimes. Sometimes, maybe I should just say all the time. I don't know, but that's what keeps you going is money, and you have to treat it as a business.
Yeah, because you got to keep the lights on. There are programs like Army, you know, in the 40s through the 60s, they were relevant. Of course, they're not now. They're usually horrible. But I mean, they were a rivalry for Notre Dame for all those years in the 40s. They were very competitive.
Yeah.
But, if you don't keep up with the Joneses, you're going to be like SMU. You're going to be like, all these schools, even Pitt. Pitt's not what the shine's not there for the Panthers. There's a lot of schools we can talk about. Clemson. 20 years ago, they weren't selling tickets, and not making any money. And now look at them. They're going to be in a, shortly they're going to be either in the Big Ten or the SEC, but it's what have you done for me lately? And,
Yes.
I'm afraid if Brian Kelly would have stayed there, I think he's more of an old guard type of coach. Notre Dame could have been, I think they were overlooked a year or two ago, but not so much last year. But
now I agree. It is what have you done for me lately, Shane? But because West Virginia didn't do very well in 2019, 2020, 2021, right? I mean, went to a couple of bowls, but still just wasn't a top team. So I know what you mean there but it doesn't seem to affect blue bloods. Never affects blue bloods. Look at Texas. How many years they were down, right? But yet Texas every year was always voted to be a top 25 team every year, even though they might finish the year with 6 wins. They were voted usually in the top 10 at the beginning, right? Because they were blue blood. Didn't matter if they had 4 or 5 years where they were absolutely just pure pieces of crap. I think the same thing. You can look at the Alabama back 2000 before Nick Saban got there, right? They just were down. They just didn't. But then all of a sudden, it's okay because it's Alabama. Now here we are. West Virginia goes 9-4 last year, getting no respect this year, plus 6.5 in Vegas for over under 6.5, and returning 91% of our production. So it makes no sense, but blue bloods they do well. So it's back to this Notre Dame, a blue blood, right? So Notre Dame doesn't never get, even if you have a bad year, you're still going to be at the top the next year. Am I wrong, Sean?
No, you're not wrong. But I mean, of course, there's been plenty of years where we come in expecting to be the top, and we realized that things were a little different that particular season. We get knocked off our high horse. But yeah, I mean, when you're a blue blood like that, you should come in expecting to be on top every year. And of course, what actually happens is a different story.
Right, like the game happens, right? You got to play them football games.
The negative of that positive, Sean and Joey, is for most teams that's your bowl game. When you're playing a mid-major or playing a team that's not like a Power 5 or now Power 4, or even some of the Power 4 schools, like say Purdue's playing Notre Dame, that's one of their biggest ones on the schedule. They're putting a Sharpie around that. That's a big one for them, because I'm sure there's kids that went to Purdue that wanted to go to Notre Dame and they got snubbed. But now with NIL, they probably don't have as the hurt feelings aren't quite as hurt. But every team is playing up for that game. It's hard for Notre Dame to stay up for every game. That's just my opinion.
We have a target on our back. There's no question about it. Myself as a fan, I'm very well aware of it. I mean, I grew up in a Notre Dame family, so I had a relative. My Uncle Jim was the football team doctor there from '86 to 2018. So we know about the rivalries. We know about all that stuff very well. We're the one that people want to beat, whether it's because we're good and they want to knock us off, or it's because it's a year that we suck and they want to stomp us into the ground.
Yep.
So either way you look at it.
I got a question for you, Sean. We're going to talk a little bit about West Virginia and Notre Dame here.
Shoot.
Have you ever? I know you wasn't around in 1988, but
I was 2.
You was 2.
Yeah.
But have you went back and watched that national championship game and stuff?
Yes, I have.
And
it's been a while, but yeah.
So I know I have a lot of players off that team. They're good friends of ours here at the show. They come on the show quite a bit. Eugene Napoleon, Major Harris, all those guys. They will all say If Major Harris doesn't get hurt, West Virginia beats Notre Dame. What are your thoughts on that, Sean?
Well, there's no question he was really good. Major Harris was a really good quarterback, but at the same time, we had Tony Rice, who was a very good quarterback as well. So I think
who won the Heisman over Major Harris?
Oh, who won it? Who won it in '88?
That it was Tony Rice, wasn't it?
No, Tony Rice did not win the Heisman.
I'm thinking he won the Heisman. Who was it then? I was well, okay, maybe I'm wrong. You're right.
Well, I know for a fact because our last Heisman winner was Tim Brown, and that was the year before in '87.
Yeah, Tim Brown may be who I was thinking about. Major Harris was in that. But
Barry Sanders won it in '88.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but to finish answering your question, I don't know if West Virginia would have won the game, but I think it would have been a closer deficit because both teams are battling that day.
Yeah, and I think our backup quarterback, Greg Jones, a fantastic passer. I mean, absolutely one of the better passers in the country. Probably could have started for most teams. Just unfortunate for him, we have Major Harris. But I think putting him in the game earlier would have made a big difference because we waited till later in the game. We played Major Harris hurt, and it kind of got
separated.
I heard. It kind of crippled the offense, right, and slowed everything down. Once we put Jones in, we started making the comeback. I think if they would have played Greg Jones at the beginning from the start, it would have been a lot closer myself as well. I think.
Oh, that's a reasonable assessment. It very well could have been. I mean, it's just common fact in the sport of football. When you're without one of your big playmaker, if not your biggest playmaker, yeah, things are going to go a little differently.
So let's talk about this year. Notre Dame, you know, from the outside looking in, I was looking at the schedule. What do you think how many wins do you think they're going to truly have this year? Don't tell me they're going to go undefeated.
Well, see, I'm going to tell you that because anybody who watches our channel, Cookie Fruit, he knows this. I'm never going to predict us to lose a game. That's the kind of fan I am. But
No.
this is kind of a way around it, though, I guess, if you will. When we have a big, this is how I've always approached it. When we have a big time opponent coming up on our schedule where the odds are heavily stacked against us, I'm never going to say that we're going to lose, but I'm never going to guarantee a win either. I'm not that kind of person. Just, we're going to win this game and that game.
The top three worry you, the ones that worry you, the ones you're highlighting, like, oh, this is going to be this rough ride.
Oh, they're the four that come to mind from the schedule. Obviously USC, every yearly rival. Florida State. I mean, even though they lost a lot of talent, they're still going to bring it.
Down here.
Louisville for sure, Texas A&M, and I'd watch out for Purdue because they're back on the schedule after a few years. Because they used to be a yearly rivalry of ours.
Yeah, they were.
So those are the. I know you only asked for. I think you only asked for 4.
No.
But I think 5.
The one I didn't have on there was USC, and I know that's just a traditional rivalry. But I think USC's been down. I think they're going to be better this year, a lot better. But, I had Louisville written down. I had FSU and Texas A&M were the ones I thought. Those were the 3 when I said 3. But I forgot about Purdue.
Did I forget Texas A&M?
No, you said Texas A&M.
Oh, I did? Okay. Because I'm like, I'd be foolish if I forgot to put
the
that.
order I think as an outsider looking in, I'm thinking don't look past Florida State, Texas A&M, and Louisville. I mean, those ones, I'm like, if you come out of there winning 2 out of the 3, that's a big deal, and that's a playoff team. But if you just crap the bed and say lose 2 of them, it's going to be a rough season.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt, without question. Well, and it's not just the big dogs on the schedule that I don't take lightly. I don't take anybody lightly because that's killed us a few times. I mean, you look back in 2010, Tulsa. They got one past us. Just a couple of years ago, Marshall got one past us. There's another one. Why can't I think of it? I'm blanking. 2011, South Florida got us.
Well, South Florida is not that under the radar. Same with UCF. I mean, these schools have huge alumni base.
Mhm.
They have huge pockets now. I mean, their pockets are, I mean, when you have that huge alumni base, it's like John Nealon said with recruiting. He's like, yeah, I can't recruit. If you fly over West Virginia, what do you see? Trees. Well, I can't get players from trees. Well, you can't get money if there's not alumni, you know? So
Yeah.
the fact that UCF and South Florida are in that fertile the rich recruiting land that they're in, and they have the fan base and they have the support of the school for their athletic department. I mean, they're gonna be, you know, they're gonna be good, guys. So yeah, UCF, definitely Central Florida. But I'm trying to get sick of me singing the praises of those programs.
Oh,
But
well, I was talking
can't.
about South Florida, not the Golden Knights.
no, but I know you said the Bulls,
Okay.
South Florida.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, just like South Florida, UCF and South Florida,
Gotcha.
South Florida has like they have like 40,000 students because they have all these small little campuses around, you know. But
Okay,
yeah,
I thought we were talking about different teams here for a second. So that was my bad.
throwing UCF and USF in the same mix, you know, because they're very similar, I think.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I would say Central's a little bit better, but
Yeah.
Will Indy out there in the chat. We'll check your text messages. I sent you a text message, buddy. So anyway, I like I haven't looked at Notre Dame's schedule this year at all. I really haven't. I haven't done a preview of Notre Dame yet. I haven't thought about what they're going to go yet. A little early, right, for me to start doing that. But at the same time, Notre Dame, and I see it in the chat, a lot of people saying it, always has a target on their back. Doesn't matter who you're playing, right? Because you're a blue blood, because you're Notre Dame. Same thing with Texas, same thing with Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. You know, it doesn't matter. Anybody you play, you got a target on your back. Just when you play those teams like Ohio State or something, and you've got two blue bloods clashing, that it can be a really interesting game. But a lot of interesting games between West Virginia and Notre Dame over the years. We only played 4 times. Y'all won all 4. But
Yeah.
the one game that I want to talk about, 1997.
I was actually just
we
watching
came to
that
South
last
Bend.
week.
Yeah, you know, we came to South Bend. You beat us 21-14, but we were driving there at the end, and I think we had a 4th and 1 or 4th and short, right? And had to go for it through a pass instead of running it. I can remember that. And Amos Zeraway had 234, 35 yards or whatever it was,
Oh, he had a game.
and we threw a pass on 4th and 1 instead of running the ball with him to pick that up, and we didn't make it, obviously. So, but do you remember some of those robberies? You say you was watching that the other night, so that's pretty cool.
Well, I remember. Let's see. I remember that game. I was watching that game with my dad. But of course, you know, I was only 11 years old at the time, and so I wasn't quite there in my life where I was taking all these games super serious and getting, you know, pissed off like I should have. But I guarantee if I was watching that game now at 38, if that game happened today at age 38, I guarantee I'd be damn near having a heart attack.
Oh yeah,
Like, stop them, damn it.
yeah.
I
It was a really good game.
It
I
was.
watched the game in like it was like a roadside bar in Missouri. You know, they actually had it on, and I just stayed there. And after I ate my sandwich, I stayed there and just kept getting refills of Diet Coke and watched that game. And I was sick to my stomach that, you know, that they end up not getting that 4th down. But yeah, I remember it.
But the national championship game was a good game too. Now, the other games, you know, maybe not so close. 42-28 in 2000, which was a decent game. But in 2001, you guys pretty much destroyed us 34-4. But yeah, so we've had some good games over the years. That's a game I'd love to see come back. I'd love to see Notre Dame on our schedule again. And I know this much. And so this is my shout out to Rim Baker and hey, West Virginia University. Listen to me. Alabama is on the schedule in 2027 and 28, or 26 and 27. I don't remember. The home and home.
Mhm.
I have a feeling that game's going to be canceled because SEC is talking about going to a 9-game conference schedule and stuff. And if that happens, I don't see them wanting to play a Power 4 program like West Virginia, and taking a chance on a loss, right? So I have a feeling that game's going to end up being canceled. Hey, Notre Dame, let's bring on Notre Dame and let's have that game. I'm sure Notre Dame's already got their schedule filled up too, though. So,
well, with all the football realignment, the conference realignment, especially with teams joining within the very next year, if those administrations can hurry around and make new schedules as fast as they do, then expedite it.
The thing about it is they can do that. If we think about what happened in 2020, I mean, the schedules changed completely, and it went fine. It was pretty smooth. It was, and everything about college football changed. So, I mean, they can make some changes pretty quick. But yeah, I would love to see us play Notre Dame again. I think it would be great to play Notre Dame again. I'm sure Notre Dame fans don't look at it that way. I mean, we're not a rivalry to Notre Dame fans, but you guys were becoming a small rivalry to us just because of that 1988 national championship, because we felt like we left it on the field right there. Major Harris getting hurt, it just felt like now we feel like we've got to beat Notre Dame. We need to beat them one time because of that.
I get it. I understand completely. I mean, yeah, just because it's not a yearly rivalry doesn't mean that there's not history. Of course. I mean, I would love to see that again too. And, I'd love to, honestly, on a little side note, when the first round of major conference realignment was happening, and, God bless his soul, rest in peace to the great Golden Blue dude. All the videos that he would do,
yeah,
I was so sure that in the big round of realignment, that it was either the first one or the most recent, I can't remember. I was sure that the ACC was going to snag West Virginia. I really thought that. And I know he did a lot of videos talking about it, and I'm like,
now, wait. Let me say something, Sean. You got to realize something. This is college football, and they don't do things that make sense. So,
well,
I want to throw that in there.
Yes, I know. I'm just saying, I was sure that it was going to happen. I thought it would be logical, but then you made a great point, Joey. There aren't a lot of logical things that happen here, like having West Coast teams playing in the ACC. So, who gives a damn about logic now? But I'm just saying, if the ACC were to have snagged the Mountaineers, that would open up the chances for us to play them, because we play 5 ACC teams a year, and we would have seen them a lot sooner.
Yeah, and that's probably why you don't play like Penn State. You don't play Purdue as much as you used to. Those are some teams that come to mind that I remember watching growing up. But you still play Army and Navy, which is great.
Navy is a guaranteed every year team.
Yeah.
Army this year was a last minute fill in because we were supposed to. Ironically, what the stream is based off here, we were supposed to play Miami this year, but due to a scheduling conflict on their end, they had to push it back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but here's the thing with Notre Dame, our annual rivalries were always this: Michigan State, Purdue, Navy, Boston College, USC, and Stanford.
Yep.
So we had 7 games that we were guaranteed to play every year. And yeah, like you said, with the ACC agreement, granted, some of those teams are now in the ACC that we play, like Boston College and now Stanford. But no, that scheduling agreement changed a lot of things. So we had to drop, Michigan State from the schedule for a number of years. We had to drop Purdue, and Michigan, that saga is always going to continue. So what more can I say?
When Notre Dame plays Michigan, I pull out my Notre Dame pom poms and I jump around in my Borat thong. So.
Excellent. I love it. I
figured you're going to go down a different road there.
Wow, that's it, baby.
this would be the right month for it. Ba-doom ching.
Yeah, that's right.
How many people did I just piss off by saying that?
War Rat thongs usually come out for me in July because sometimes it's like 2 days this week. It was toasty today. It would have been a good day, but earlier in the week it was a little bit chilly. It's a little chilly for both butt cheeks to be exposed.
See, out here in Illinois, it depends. I mean, we had one morning where it was like 55 degrees, but then it sprung up to like 95 later on, and then another day was quite the opposite. I'm in
northwestern Pennsylvania. We got a couple days where it only got up to like 65, 62. 2 days this week, and then today it was like 88. So, welcome to early summer in south or northeastern United States. But Joey, yes. I want to bring up something to you that you probably remember. It might be a bad memory for Sean, but he might be too young to remember, but I remember it. So, Sean, let me take you back to 1993.
I was 7.
You're 7. West Virginia was playing Boston College, or excuse me, Miami. And the same time, the game ended maybe with 3 minutes left on West Virginia, Miami, the Miami game. They announced that Notre Dame was upset by Boston College, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The crowd,
and I was pissed.
The crowd went nuts. So guess what?
I wasn't pissed.
Yeah. The next week, West Virginia went into Boston College and pulled one out of their ass and actually won. So that led them to be that pushed them to be undefeated, but they beat a very good Miami team. Those are the kind of rivalries that we're hoping to get back into college football, which would be, like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, there's still some infighting and some history and some feelings. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure Notre Dame
that's what I want to say.
Heartburn for Boston College. I mean, there are teams that just get under your skin that you want to freaking knock the shit out of.
Oh,
you're exactly right. Yeah, I looked at it this way. If we look at West Virginia in the Big 12, there's absolutely no history with any of those teams. None. Now Cincinnati's in the Big 12, so there's some history there, but guess what? Cincinnati's like 3-20 against West Virginia. It's not really a rivalry, right? They're 3-20. So let's face it, Cincinnati's not on the same level as West Virginia. I'm nothing against Cincinnati. It's just gonna take you some time to build up to that level. And I think you'll do it eventually. Now, at the same time, put Notre Dame in the Big 12, there would be no history with anybody. I mean, not the teams that are in the Big 12 now. There would be no history with anybody other than West Virginia. So everybody says, well, West Virginia is not doing real well in the Big 12. Well, rivalry games matter. When West Virginia was playing Maryland every year, Pitt every year, Virginia Tech every year, when we were playing the games that really mattered to the Mountaineers,
yeah, the old Big East,
we were a lot different team, right? And Notre Dame's playing a lot of teams that they play on a regular basis, Stanford, all those guys. And sure, they're still a good team, but you put Notre Dame over in the Big 12, and they may fall off a little bit because there's a simple reason that there's nothing there that's going to motivate them to say, hey, it's a rivalry game. I mean, imagine Notre Dame playing Houston. I mean, come on.
Well, big history with Houston, the 79 Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
And aside from Houston and West Virginia, the closest one with any history, I would have to say, would be the Colorado Buffaloes.
Yeah,
there was the Orange Bowl with the Phantom holding call, and we played a few times before that, and things got I'm not gonna say testy, but they got interesting.
Will says he'd kind of like to drop the Stanford game. How about you, Sean?
Well, historically, there was a period where Stanford was really good, but I'll say this right now, they're not really helping us. Because, I mean, yeah, they did beat us a couple of years ago on a, in my opinion, a fluke. But if I had to choose between the two California schools, I'm picking USC over Stanford all the way.
Absolutely.
definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
See,
Yeah,
because
I
when you
believe.
think about it, this I know it's like 40 plus years is a long time, but Stanford compared to USC is a fairly new rivalry because we've been playing USC since the 20s. Stanford, I don't think came along until well, I mean, we played them sporadically throughout the 20th century, like the early 20th century. Like we played them in the 25 Rose Bowl, like the Four Horsemen and all that. But I don't think we really started playing them regularly. And I could be a little off on this. We didn't really start playing them regularly until probably the 80s.
Yeah.
Maybe a tad bit later than that. I don't know. My fellow ND fans in the chat help me out. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But all I know is they are fairly new compared to USC. So that one, if we wanted to drop that one, fine, do it.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm kind of looking something up here. I wanted to see something here. So Stanford, your history with them, you have 22 wins. They have 14. So you're 22 and 14 all time versus Stanford.
Yeah,
That's
Um,
rivalry, guys. Hate to
yeah,
say it.
that's a robbery. That's a good. Now your longest win streak was 7 games. That was 2002 to 2008. Their longest win streak was 3 games, 2009 to 2011.
Yep.
So,
I was at that 2010 game, unfortunately.
but let me share something with you. But now Stanford's a robbery, and we all believe that. So, but let me show you something else that will help you to understand why Notre Dame is just on a completely different level than they are than Stanford is. Here we go. Look at this. See this is the so
Yeah.
all-time record. Notre Dame's 4th. They're 41st. All these little yellow boxes over on the left are all the things that they're better at Stanford than. Like here, NFL draft picks. Notre Dame is 1st in the country, and they're 27th. Notre Dame's got twice as many NFL draft picks as Stanford. So there's no doubt about it. Weeks at AP number 1, you're 4th with 98 weeks at AP number 1. They're 44th. They've never been number 1. So there's a lot. So you can call it a rivalry, yeah. But if you look at the numbers, there's no comparison there.
No. I mean, they put out some very good teams over the years, but the tradition is so different.
Pull up, hey, Joey, use your magic and pull up Miami and Notre Dame.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me do that real quick.
I think that's going to be a lot closer.
Well, it's going to look fantastic.
All right.
Exactly.
Okay. So let me go and share this screen with you. Present share screen. All right. So there we go. Whoops. Let me get that with that. Well, what happened? Hold on. Now, are we right? There we go. All right. So, Miami 8 wins, Notre Dame 17, and 1 tie. Largest margin of victory 58-7 by Miami. Largest margin of victory 44-0 in 1973 by Notre Dame. Miami's was in 1985. Longest win streaks 4 for Miami, 1983 to 1987. That was some really good years for Miami, if everybody remembers. Longest win streak was 11 for Notre Dame from 1967 to 1980. Let's face it, Miami was not a very good team before 1980, really. But then look at this. There's no comparison when you compare the two. Look at all the yellow over there on the right for Notre Dame compared to the orange. That's the only two the conference championships. Miami has 9 conference championships and makes them 76 in the country. Of course, Notre Dame's never been in a conference, so they don't have any.
Yeah.
Bowl games, they're 18th. Miami's 18th with 43 bowl games, and you're 23rd with 40 bowl games. So there's not a lot of difference there. You're dominating them everywhere else. So
Yeah.
and you look at these numbers. Consensus All-Americans, you're 1st, they're 18th. Heisman winners, you're 2nd, they're 13th. NFL draft picks, you're 1st, they're 14th. First round NFL picks. You're fourth. They're fifth. You have 71. They have 67. Weeks in AP poll. They are four. You are fourth. They are 17th. They've been in there. So have 131 teams. They're 17th, and you're fourth. Weeks at number one. They're fourth, or you're fourth, and they're at eighth. So they've been in there 68 times. You've been in there 98 times at number one. So yeah, there's not even no comparison with Miami, and we all know how good Miami was for a while.
No, but seeing this though, it's another reason to kick Stanford off the schedule and keep Miami on there every year.
That's exactly
right.
what I was at. I mean, this is what college football should be. It should be teams that have, like, you know, similar histories. You got to have some teams on there like Northwestern for like Big 12 or Big 10 does, and every team needs to have a homecoming game, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. Right. So now, if and the same way now, if I look at the West Virginia and Notre Dame's here, let me share this. So, share the screen. All right, here we go. So here's the differences between Notre Dame and West Virginia. Notre Dame's in blue this time. That's not West Virginia. Notre Dame's in blue this time. West Virginia's in gold. I don't want anybody to think, oh, wow, look how much better West Virginia is than Notre Dame. No.
But for this stream, the color scheme makes perfect sense, though.
The color scheme makes perfect sense. It does. So, you know, if we go down to the things that really matter, right? Weeks in AP poll, we have 306 weeks, which makes us 31st, and you have 873, which makes you fourth. The Heisman winners, we have none. We have a lot of Heisman finalists. We have a couple of second place people win Heisman, but we never had a winner. NFL draft picks, you're first. We're 47th. So, you know, there's some difference there. Now, on the other hand, I can take this same thing and put us up against like Pitt, and we're dominating them in a lot of areas, right? So the only thing that we dominate you on is conference championships, and that's because we have 15, which we would dominate Miami in that, because they've only got 9. So, yeah, I mean, you know, you can look around like that and see that Notre Dame is an elite team, right? There's a reason they're a blue blood guy. There's a reason they're a blue blood, and same way with Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, those guys. If you'll just compare your team to these teams, you'll see how good these teams really are. Now, that don't mean that West Virginia couldn't beat Notre Dame next time we play them. You know, that don't have a damn thing to do with it. But, you know, as an overall looking at it, because I hear a lot of people saying, well, you know, West Virginia's not too bad of a program, and they're not. They're a great program. But, you know, when you look at those numbers and you compare them, there's a huge difference between blue bloods and West Virginia. And I'm sorry, Mountaineer fans, I have to put it to you that way. So,
well, Miami was dominant through the 80s, 90s, up until 2002. They were just tippy top of the polls, year in, year out, recruiting, just NFL studs coming out of there. They are on the cusp. They were on the cusp of being a blue blood, but the past 20 years, they have been relegated basically since they've been in the ACC to being kind of like, meh. So I would have to say they're not a blue blood. If you would ask me in 2000, I'd be like, yeah, they're a blue blood, right? So, you know, I don't know. That's my opinion. I still think they're pretty close because of the national championships and my memory of them being just fantastic. They're right on the cusp, but it just depends on who you ask, I guess.
Does it surprise you guys at all that in the whole time they've been in the ACC that they have not won that conference championship once?
I'm surprised. I thought they were going to light up.
It surprises me when Mario Cristobal got to Miami. I thought, everybody better watch out. Miami's back.
Yep.
And he's not been able to do anything. Now, this year, I've got Miami. I'm picking Miami to win the ACC this year. I think Miami's got the best team in the ACC. And I don't think it's going to be that close. I really believe Miami's going to be a really good team this year. So watch out, ACC. This might be Miami's year, all honesty.
I think I think the bottom line for Miami, the bottom or the floor, I think fourth. I know it's a way too early prediction, but I think their floor is fourth place in the conference. Because it's like it's just because we still don't know for sure what all they have and what they're going to do. Like, Ballard and I were talking about this last night too. I mean, you get Coach Cristobal in there, you see the success that he had at Oregon, and and I'm this way with every new head coach especially when they come to a new program. It's going to take him at least 3 years. He's coming on that third year. Now this is a chance where you really get to see, okay, how's he done recruiting? What's he got?
Yeah, Sean, but does that accelerate now with the NIL and things kind of shifting?
Oh, that really makes a difference. Absolutely. Yeah. You guys were both talking earlier about how, about what part was it? Like drawing kids out of Texas to come play here, come play there, and so on. Right. Well, a big factor, of course, with recruiting is weather. It's like with Notre Dame, for example, it is hard to get a kid from California or all the way down south in Florida where it's warm all the time, never snows. And so you really got to, and this is not just Notre Dame, but any school up north. You got to give that recruit a good reason to abandon, the tropical climate and paradise of down there to
Sean,
come play.
You're foolish. Guess what you have? You got God and Jesus.
Well, that's true. but so does MSU.
We got Sean. We got pepperoni rolls. We got coal mines. We got cold weather. We got a couple parties. It's number one party school year in, year out. It's in the top tier. I just saw something that came out, a meme for that. But I'm giving you shit now, brother.
Well, you also got hillbilly hot dogs.
That's true. Yeah.
Now, there was a question there. I seen a question a while ago, and I don't remember where it went, about West Virginia and football coaches from West Virginia. I don't know how many people know this or not, but West Virginia is known as the cradle of coaches. Did you know that, Sean? Did you know West Virginia is known as the cradle?
I never heard that, but I know there's been a lot of coaches that have come out
like
here.
Youngstown, Ohio, down to Fairmont, West Virginia, you got like a string of just stud coaches that come out of there.
Let's just take some of these coaches, for instance. Nick Saban from West Virginia. How many national championships he got? Jimbo Fisher from West Virginia, who has a national championship. Fielding Yost, West Virginia. What do you have, 13? John McKay, West Virginia. Arnett Mumford, Ace, West Virginia. And you can go on down the list, and it says other notable coaches, West Virginia, Bobby Bowden, Don Neyland, John Pennington, Mike Keller. Don Neyland, of course, not. Let's go to, let's see, coaches, college, West Virginia. All right, let me just share this with you. I don't, because I think this is wrong. And so let's just bring this up. All right, so we have coaches, college football, West Virginia, Nick Saban, Ben Schwartzwalder.
Yeah, I went to Syracuse.
Bill Stewart, Jimbo Fisher, Jim Grobe, Neil Brown, John McKay, Lou Holtz, Bob Pruitt, Don Neyland, Cam Henderson. Look at these coaches, guys. I mean, there's Art Pappy Lewis. Everybody remember Art Pappy Lewis?
Yeah, you got to remember the population of West Virginia is like maybe under or right over 1 million, give or take.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the biggest state in the country, or in the nation. That's for sure.
No, right now there's only 1.8 million people in the whole state. There's more people in one city block in Houston than there are in the whole state of West Virginia. So that's the thing about that. So there's been some great coaches come out of West Virginia.
It produces all that. Incredible. Except the only one that I frown on is Fielding Yost. I don't know if you guys know that story.
What is it?
Okay, so Fielding Yost, he became the University of Michigan's university president, I believe. And people always like to give Notre Dame fans and Notre Dame crap because of, not being in the conference and all this. Well, what a lot of people don't realize is we tried to join the Big Ten back in the 20s. I mean, it wasn't called the Big Ten yet, but it went on to become known as the Big Ten.
I know this where you're going to. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, anybody could look this up. This is not just Sean coming on here spouting some bullshit. This is the absolute truth. But we tried to join the Big Ten under Newt Rockne. I think it was called the Big West back then or something weird like that. But we tried to join. Fielding Yost told us no because he was anti-Catholic.
Yeah.
And he said I don't know what his problem with Catholics were, but he said, no, you're not joining our conference. So we said, all right, screw you. So all these fans that like to give Notre Dame crap about being independent and like afraid to join a conference. No, we tried to join the Big Ten back in the 20s, and granted COVID played a part in this, but we were in one in 2020. So we're not afraid to play in a conference.
Yeah. Now, and there's a lot more history to it than that too.
Yes.
I mean, there's been a lot of history between Michigan and Notre Dame. There's a couple years ago when conference realignment started, everybody started talking about Notre Dame to the Big Ten. Notre Dame's going to go to the Big Ten. There's no doubt about it. They're going to go to the Big Ten. And I was sitting there going, it's not going to happen. Notre Dame's not going to Big Ten. Notre Dame and Michigan do not get along. Notre Dame's not going to go into a conference with Michigan. I just don't see that happening at all. I don't see it in the future. I didn't see it then. I don't even see it in the future. I think if Notre Dame joins any conference, it would be probably the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
They would take less money. If Big Ten was offering them $100 million a year and the SEC was offering them $80 million a year, I think they would take less money to go to the ACC.
Sean, I'm going to ask about the future.
Shoot.
We're talking about the past. Let's talk about the future.
All right.
ACC. How long do they have before they're on life support? We're talking.
Myself personally, I hope they don't go on life support. I hope this conference sticks around. I hope it does. I don't know if it will. I mean, it seems like you see stories all the time which don't offer much hope. But and look, I can understand Florida State wanting out because they're still pissed about what happened last season. I get it, but there comes a time now where you got to get over it. And that's just a side note there. But yeah, I mean, Clemson's wanting out. Who else from that conference is wanting out?
North Carolina.
That's right.
Pitt's been in talks with folks in Dallas.
I have it on really good authority because Miami is a private school, so they don't have to release all this stuff, right? They don't. I have it on pretty good authority from someone that knows a little bit about Miami, and I'm not talking some YouTuber. I'm talking somebody down there really close to the program. Told me that Miami is wanting out of the conference. It may not be public right now. They may not be coming out saying that they're going to sue or anything. But they're a private university and they're keeping it under wraps inside Miami, the Miami boardroom or whatever.
Interesting.
But they went out. So
Miami, Louisville, Pitt, Virginia Tech, and NC State have all been asking questions.
Well, the thing about it is, do you remember last year when 7 teams from the ACC, I'm sure we remember that, 7 teams from the ACC started having meetings about getting out of the ACC, right? And then all of a sudden, though, Pitt wasn't one of those teams. You remember that? Here it is, right here. No, that ain't it. Sorry, I thought that was it. I've got it here somewhere. But Pitt wasn't one of those 7 teams. And I thought, hey, they only need 8 to dissolve the damn conference.
Yep.
Why wouldn't Pitt do that and just say, hey, we're going to try to get in the Big Ten. Penn State doesn't let us in. We'll go to the Big 12. We have rivalries in the Big 12. So I think I'm like you. I think Pitt would eventually say, yeah, it's time to give up and go on.
Yeah,
they did last year.
The Sue bug has hit the ACC. You have 3 schools, openly, actively pursuing lawsuits to exit the conference. That's a big deal. I mean, the Big 12 has not replenished, even though they've added teams. They have not basically patched the holes in the walls from the exit of Oklahoma and Texas. I'm sorry to say that as a fan of a Big 12 school, it's not quite right. Like you need, if Miami, the best thing for the Big 12, Sean, I'm going to get on my soapbox, would be for Utah or West Virginia to make a big run this year. Okay. Or maybe even Oklahoma State. But, beat out of conference teams like Colorado beating Nebraska, West Virginia beating Penn State. But Miami to have a good run and then go to the Big 12 would be, as soon as it's like finding one of those prized paintings at a yard sale. Miami stock will go back up to almost that blue chip level as soon as they have, make a push in the playoffs. That's all it would take for their stock to soar. Because right now they're not selling jerseys. But guess what? The first jersey to sell once they're shit hot, that's the Hurricanes. I mean, I'm just saying, how can you not root for remember all the starter jackets, Joey, back in the 80s? Every Tom, Dick, and Harry, there was Miami, Penn State, starter jackets everywhere. So, and Notre Dame.
I had a starter jacket in the 90s.
Yeah, so you know what's up. But anyways, so what I'm saying is I would love to see some success, but I think the ACC is really in a pickle. And they're very, very close. Fortunately for them, they've seen what happened with the Pac-12, and they're scrambling for life rafts now. But I think it's too little too late. They've struck the iceberg. I think there's going to be 2 conferences left. I think the Big 12 eventually, they're going to last a few years, but there's going to be some other folks jumping on life rafts to the Big 10 and SEC from the Big 12. That's just my prediction.
Yeah, the only problem with that is you got to remember the Irate 8, which would be the only teams out of the Big 12 that the SEC or Big 10 would want, probably. Honestly, the Irate 8, any of the Irate 8, and probably not very many of those. Maybe Kansas, West Virginia, Kansas State, Oklahoma State. Those would be 4 notable teams that I think that SEC or Big 10 would want. But the thing about it is they had to sign a lifetime $100 million contract to get out of the Big 12. That's when they were solidifying this conference, and they decided to stick together. And the thing about it is, you know whose idea that was? That was Texas's. They didn't have a damn thing. They were out of this conference, right? And here we are signing $100 million deals to stay in this conference. So I'm not happy about that. Now, that being said, the precedent's already been set because Texas and Oklahoma got out for a lot less, right? So the precedent's already been set there. So we could get out. But at the same time, it still would cost quite a bit of money for one of the teams to leave. And a team like West Virginia does not have that money. Don't have that.
That's just it. You beat me to the punch, Joey. A lot of these teams don't have that kind of money. A lot of these schools don't have that kind of money to just up and do that at the drop of a dime. They can't.
Right. Yeah, but there's a creative financing that they could do. I mean, you got to think you're going to, unless they're not going to increase their revenue stream. If you go from the Big 12, I'm just throwing a number there. Say they're making 40 million, give or take, and you go to even if you're making 55 million in the SEC, which is probably low what they'd be, it would take you about 10 years to make that difference up, maybe 8. So, I mean, you just have to look at it. And the other option, it's either you ascend or you plummet. I mean, you're either going to make that change and make it work, or you're going to be homeless. You're going to be like a relegated, European soccer team, like Wrexham or something. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be relegated down to be playing, Marshall every year and playing freaking, St. Mary's School for the, one-armed kids, whatever.
Now, Sean, I only asked you to be with us for an hour. Do you have to go? Can you stay a minute? I want to talk about something else. If you can stay.
I've got nothing else going on. So
great, because I want your advice on this too. I want to hear your thoughts on this. So today, the Big 12, it's being broken out there, right? That private equity is getting involved in the Big 12, possibly, right? Offering them $1 billion to be a part of the conference for 15 to 20% of the conference. And that $1 billion would be paid out to all the teams, right, over several years, and would put them on par or up there close to SEC numbers and things, right? So do something like that. But what this does is this is selling out. This is selling out to basically the Middle East. I don't care what anybody says. We're basically selling out to the Middle East. It's big oil that's putting this money in there, and I don't think we need big oil running our conferences in college football or having a say in our conferences in college football. If it was an American company, let's say Elon Musk said, "Hey, I want to give you $1 billion and be a part of the Big 12," I'd be like, "Heck yeah, let's do it." Why not? American company, let's do that. But here we are. We got foreign entities trying to get involved in college football here in the United States now. What are your thoughts on that, Sean?
That's I hadn't seen this yet, but that's very interesting. Foreign entities wanting to involve themselves in American college football.
Yeah.
Now, part of me is not surprised because, well, there's an annual game that the NCAA is playing in Ireland every year now. Other teams besides Notre Dame have gone over there. I think it's this year. It's Georgia Tech and Florida State, I think.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me too much because it's we're making this more of an international game now. We're trying to get more countries overseas involved in the interest. We're trying to get into those markets. The NFL is doing it. They've been doing it for quite some time now. So how I feel about it, I guess you could say a little indifferent.
Yeah.
I think it's a payday loan. I think it's a payday loan. I think it's a bad idea. They need to think of a more. They're stepping over dollars just for cents at this point. I mean, yeah, at least they're being aggressive and thinking about some solutions. But I don't think this is one of them. But
so, do you guys want me to? Here, I'll tell you what. Let me come in here.
That is a very fair point, Shane, for sure.
Let me come in here. Do you guys want me to share this article? It's from Dennis Dodd.
Yeah, put it up.
So it's not like it's somebody that's just out of the blue. This is Dennis Dodd.
Yeah, he is like.
So all right, y'all can see us now, right? I'm not on the screen. All right, Big 12 considering private equity investments up to $1 billion for as much as 20% of the conference. Here's what it is saying: Big 12 members are considering a first of its kind private equity investment to ensure the league's long-term financial and competitive security. Multiple sources tell CBS Sports. On the table is a possible cash infusion of $800 million to $1 billion from Luxembourg-based CVC Capital Partners in exchange for a 15 to 20% stake in the league. Those sources said a portion of the money would go directly to the 16 conference members, and the partnership would give the conference access to CVC's investment services and clients. CVC is a global private equity giant that manages over $200 billion in investments worldwide, according to the website. I'll scroll on down here because he said something, and I got to find it here, that really made a lot of sense to me about. Well, it kind of puts this into perspective. So this is. Let me find it here. Might take me a second. So it says typically private equity firms such as CVC invest for long term in companies with growth profile. They make their money when the investment grows and they sell their stake. So they're only going to invest to turn around and sell it. Who the hell are they going to sell it to? So even if this company is, okay, a great company and yeah, we should get in bed with them, who the hell are they going to sell it to? We don't know. We're not going to have no control over that. The industry term is called exiting the investment.
I don't
If we
understand
do well, they do well, said a person in the Big 12. If we do well, they do well. Florida State Athletic Director Mike Offers said he wasn't surprised the private equity firm was getting involved with a conference. The future is we're looking at private equity, Alfred told CBS Sports. I think it will start at the conference level first, and it doesn't start with us first. So he's meaning it's not going to start with teams first. It's going to start at conference level first.
But teams, Joey, teams are non-taxable. They're state. A lot of these are state-run institutions. They don't get taxed. I mean, if there's an equity firm involved, wouldn't they be, a for-profit company at that point? I mean, I'm just scratching my head. I don't understand.
Yeah. So yeah, there's it's kind of crazy. You see all these cars. I'm shopping for a new car. That's why you see all these ads for cars, guys. I love how they can trace you down and just follow you everywhere you go. But yeah, I'm always look. Like I say, I'm okay with private investment so long as it's an American-based company. I would be fine with that, But I worry about they're investing in it to turn a profit. So, like you said, it's a payday loan. Basically, what it is. We're going to give you this money now, but we're going to make money off you in the next 5-10 years, and then we'll turn around and sell you to. Okay, so we're in Luxembourg, and our biggest conglomerate is in the Emirates, that United Arab Emirates. That's their biggest thing is oil. Right. So, but we decided we're going to go ahead and sell you to this company over in China, or we're going to sell you to this company over in Iraq. How would you feel then? So, and we don't know. We don't know who they'll sell us to, right? So that's why I don't want that. Shane, you're muted.
Sorry.
That's why I don't want that.
Once you're in bed with them, okay, how do you have a very difficult time leaving to go to another conference at that point? I mean, it just gets so convoluted. I mean, this is just a terrible idea.
Cookie, thank you. I appreciate that, Cookie.
Yeah, it's like it's more becoming, like you said, a corporation rather than a conference.
Yeah. It is. It's a corporation rather than a conference. The money might be good, and I know that. I know the Big 12 is probably kind of licking their lips right now. I can see Brent Yormark sitting there going, yeah, this is going to be really good for the conference. And I think it could be good for the conference. But like I say, I worry about what's going to happen 5 years down the road when they decide they've made enough money back and they want to sell it off. Who the hell do they sell it to? And I worry about that.
No idea.
So, who's your next pimp?
Right.
That's what's going to be.
Right.
It's unfortunate. This is just a nightmare. I am literally sick to my stomach about this. This is the terrible idea. This is why college football is kind of slowly just creeping down on my list of things that I just look forward to. I used to get up, guys, and it would be college football from 8 in the morning until like 11 at night. I would just watch it, and I couldn't get enough of it. Thursday, I don't care who was playing. There were years I went to 20 games in a year, almost, because I was working at West Point, going to the West Point games. I remember driving to a Thursday West Virginia game, going back, trying to catch both games. Guys, that's no longer the case, because my love is just more like it's meant, because that's the product we're going to get once these penny pinching freaking businessmen get their meat hooks on a pure. This is why college football is college football. This is why I don't watch the NFL, because I like to watch amateur athletes. I like to watch kids put on their pants, get going in the morning and play ball, because that's what they have the desire, the hunger to better themselves through education, through hard work, through sports. It's just terrible.
So one more point about this too. We don't know where this stops. And guess what? We already see NIL in high school. Just the other day, a high school student got a Lamborghini. What's a high school student need with a Lamborghini, right? But this is happening around this country. NIL is already in high school. So how long is it going to be for high schools to say, hey, okay, let's do some private equity here, right? And now all of a sudden you've got high schools involved in private equity. And then it just goes down to the middle schools, right? Middle schools have football teams. Hey, why not? And then the next thing you know, China or Iraq or somebody like that is in our school systems, I just don't like this. I do not like this private equity
It's
Sorry,
very,
Charlie.
one bit.
very controversial to say the least.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
I said earlier that yes, college football is a business, but this is going way too far.
It's monkey business now. That's what it is. It's shenanigans, monkey business. And I'm not
Yep.
talking about playing a little dizzy bat and drinking a few icy lights and natty lights and Pabst Blue Ribbons before the game and getting a little bit tipsy. I'm talking about just straight up bullshit.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is becoming straight up bullshit that has nothing to do with the game. It has nothing to do with the game. I really get tired of this. I did not like it one bit. I know a lot of people in the chat talking about it too. I think it was Will ND. I didn't like it one bit that the pack dissolved. Did not make me happy that we got the four corner schools. Not a bit, because I didn't want to see the Pac-12 dissolve. Because when the Pac-12 dissolved, guess what? That just means that ACC and Big 12 are next. One of them is next. Most likely ACC. But hey, the tides could turn anytime, right? The tides could turn anytime. And all of a sudden, the Big 12 starting to, some teams were getting mad and wanting out. Especially if this private equity thing, if Brent Yormark signs it up and says, let's do this. And Kansas was totally against it. Let's just take, for instance, Kansas totally against that and said, hey, I didn't want private equity in here. I'm going to the Big Ten.
Well, that'll
right.
go to the courts. I mean, you have like Manchin. Well, you're going to have a lot of Mountaineer fans screaming and yelling like this one right here, and there's going to be some sort of exit strategy at that point because, first of all, I don't want the institution that I paid good money to get a degree from that I'm to have part in. And it's not because it's a foreign entity. It's because it's a state institution. It is for education. It's not a business. They're not in the business of producing football players. This is just a byproduct. It's not the sole intent for that university. And when they start doing that, I'm going to have a case of the butt.
Yeah.
Well, so we had a great show tonight, and I appreciate Sean. I appreciate you coming on. Tell everybody where to find you at on all your platforms, everywhere you are, man.
Well, first off, thank you guys so much for having me. It's tonight was an absolute blast. I love conversation like this. This is what gets you thinking. This is what gets you talking. This is what what it's all about. Yeah, anybody who wants to see my buddy Ben and I and what we do, our channel is called the Two Irish Brothers. Very simple to find us. Just search Two Irish Brothers. Our logo is a green shamrock with TIB in the middle of it. Yes, we are primarily a Notre Dame channel, and that's what we talk about the most, but we are open to talking about other things as well. As a matter of fact, we just covered the St. Louis Battlehawks of the United Football League, head coached by another former Mountaineer, Anthony Beck.
Yeah.
And so we have now that I will say that the UFL videos have been a pretty hard sell because the interest in that league has to grow. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, that's where you guys can find us. So come give us a shot. You don't have to
digress. You don't have to digress. Talk about it. I mean, hell yeah. That's fine. You want to talk about it.
Well, yeah. So we just got finished covering the Battlehawks. We talk about like the off season aside from recruiting. It gets kind of hard to find stuff to talk about. So yeah, we'll talk about the United Football League. We'll talk about stuff going on in the NFL and various other things that come to mind. But as far as the college football aspect, a lot of it's Notre Dame. We have special guests. We've had former players on the show. We have another one coming up pretty soon. We've been talking to Reggie Ho, the kicker of the '88 national championship team. And it's all about trying to find a date with him. But we're looking to have him on in the near future. So yeah, we have a lot of good stuff on there for everybody, not just Notre Dame fans.
Good stuff.
Good stuff, yeah. Shane, what you got going on tomorrow night, brother?
Well, tomorrow night I'm bringing on a Pitt alumnus who I went to high school with. I haven't talked to him in 20 years other than texting a little bit, and he is a season ticket holder. We're going to talk about the Pirates playing a 1 o'clock game, and then there's a little thing called college football a few hours later called the Backyard Brawl, and that's just going to be a hot mess of traffic. How's the tailgating going to commence if people are trying to go to the Pirates game? And I don't know about you, Sean, but Major League Baseball is not known for the tailgating, right?
No.
Even though he's one of the best parks to go watch ball at. I'm not a big baseball fan, but it is a great park. So we're going to talk about that. He's going to give me his take on how many wins? How good is Pitt this year? What does he think from his perspective? And we're just going to be shenanigans because I'm a fan. I'm not a journalist. I don't know what the hell's going to come out of my mouth, and neither will you. So join me.
I like it.
Well, guys, we appreciate everyone being here tonight. Had a nice little crowd in here on and off. Came in for quite a while. Appreciate everyone being here. Appreciate everybody that subscribed to us tonight. Be sure and subscribe on your way out. Be sure and also hit the like button on the video. It does nothing for us, but we do appreciate it because it does help the YouTube algorithm. So be sure and hit that for us on your way out. Sean, stick around in the back room a second. We'll talk for a second. Everyone have a great night, and we will see you in next time.